Today I'm going to be ranking the evil characters of the series by how good they are. I wasn't originally planning to do this. I did the whole rank the Animorphs by how good they are, which people seem to like. They enjoyed that one, and a few of them wanted me to proceed with the how good are the bad guys one. Now I'm going to be doing this one a bit differently because I've got a list of 20 baddies, and I've actually pre-scripted the list. So I've got the list here because I'm not going to go through the whole palaver again. It's going to be a bit of a shorter video and pretty much more. It's going to be more straightforward because I'm not going to put them through a list of 9 evil traits. But these are a list of 20 bad guys, and I'm going to rate them on how good they are. But bottom of the list will be 20. That will be the most evil, and we're going to go up to number 1, the most good baddie. Okay, that's how it's going to work. There are a few on this list that are a bit... Some people might say, oh, actually, are they bad guys? And yeah, but everyone on this list is at the very least able to be perceived as a baddie. Okay? But that's only a couple. Most of the baddies in this series are mustache-twirling villains, which actually made this video very difficult because they're basically all the frickin' same. But... that's a major flaw in this series. But whatever. There are a few standout baddies. But you'll find that as we go through this list, that it almost gets split into categories. So, there's the traitors. There's the self-preservation experts. There's the ones who just don't want to do anything and won't contribute anything good or whatever. Yeah, it's separated into those categories. So a lot of this list you might disagree with based on whether you think being a traitor is more evil than looking after your own self before anybody else. Sort of the same. Actually, not always. But yeah, it's going to be very much like that. And I'll give my reasons for each character rather briefly. Firstly, let's get the most obvious one out. Well, another disclaimer, Cryak and Droid aren't on this list, much like the Elmist wasn't on the previous list because they're supposed to be the arch-goody, arch-baddie, so it's pretty pointless putting on this list when they'd just be rock bottom in both cases. But yeah, so 20 baddies from the Animorphs series. Who comes in most evil, most sadistic, most violent and evil in every single way? Who gets the Honda Jazz Prize for most evil? Visser II. I don't think there can be much... There is basically nothing redeeming about Esplin 9466, to give him his proper name. He has his own torture chamber aboard his pool ship. He executes his own subordinates for minor reasons. Does he have any He sort of has a sentimental side, but it's more sort of a possessive thing. Like, for example, Chapman, the host body of Chapman, sort of keeps him around because he's sentimental towards it, but that's not really a positive trait. It's more like, oh, I own that. That's mine. That's like a trophy. Yeah, so I don't think that... I mean, he was ambitious, but then I think the Andalite arrogance mixed with his own brain and fucked him up even more. I don't think there's really much redeeming this character. I think he's number 20 on this list, and for good reason. Number 19, and this may surprise a few people, young Chapman. Now I'm distinguishing young Chapman from older Chapman because if you watch my recent Hedrick Chapman analysis video, you'll see that they're basically 2 different characters. Young Chapman was only in the Andalite Chronicles, and he was a complete arse. In every way. He had no redeeming qualities, he was snidey, he was cruel, he was offensive, he was a traitorous bastard, and that's the thing that puts him 19th. He basically, for very little reason, sold out his own race, just, here! What you want to trade it for? I don't know, fucking... a cherry? He's just a complete dick with no redeeming qualities. The older Chapman has redeeming qualities in abundance, and then the series proceeds to fuck him over. Fuck you, series. But yeah, young Chapman he's part of the reason why the Andalite Chronicles was such a shit book. They just... ruined this character by making him pure evil, basically, and throwing him in there. Yeah, nothing really redeeming, but he didn't have his own torture chamber, so he's not as bad as Visser III. Okay, so young Chapman is at 19. 18. This is where we get into traitor territory. So I think traitors are extremely villainous. A lack of loyalty, selling out those around you. And I think Tom's Yerk, I believe, is unnamed after Book 6, of course, when you had Temrash. Tom's Yerk after that didn't do much during the series, was a bit sort of higher up, sort of on the Chapman level of ranking. So he did quite a bit. But it's only when we get to the very end of the series where we find out that he's a traitorous bastard. And it's coming to the crunch, and he basically stabs Visser III in the back, and then proceeds to try to stab the Animorphs in the back to take the morphing cube and get away. You know, just a twat, basically. Yeah, I don't like traitors. People who stab others in the back, and Tom's Yerk, whatever his name was that character. Stabbed everyone around him in the back. He's a liar, deceiver. Yeah, not a pleasant character, and that's why he's 18th on the list. 17, another traitor. And this is an Andalite traitor. His name is Samilin Elivat Estoni. Now, if you don't remember him, he was in Book 18. He was, I believe, was he the prince in charge of the ship they were on? I need to do an analysis of this to refresh myself. But he was the guy in charge of the ship that the Animorphs found themselves on. Went down to the Lyran planet, and then it turns out he was a double crosser. And he was basically delivering this ship to the Yerks. He was a traitor. A dirty, filthy little fucking traitor. And he got what he deserved. He got dissolved, basically. Shredder fire, gone. Not as bad as Tom's Yerk, because he only stabbed one group in the back. But yeah, not pleasant. Not a pleasant guy. Number 17. Now we get away from the traitors and more to the people who saw evil happening and could have put a stop to it, but didn't. People who ran the operations and saw these evil things happening and didn't put an end to it. So at 16, we've got Garoth, who I thought was an excellent villain because he was clever, he was intelligent, he was cold and calculating, but he wasn't a mustache-twirling villain, a rarity in the series. If you remember, he was the Yerk with the Hork-Bajir host, who was a member of the Council of 13, and he follows Visser I around looking through her memories. He was a really interesting character. Why is he so low on this list, as in high on the evil list? It's because he's a member of the Council of 13. And he sees the damage that Visser III does, for example, or Espelin 9466, and does he do anything about it? No. No, lets him off. So if, hypothetically, so Hitler's doing his thing in freaking Nazi Germany, and you're, I don't know, hypothetical Joe Bloggs, who's in charge of Hitler, who has power over Hitler, and you see him doing all this shit, and you think, yeah, just carry on, whatever. No, you're an evil piece of shit. You say, oh, you fucking stop that right now, mate. Or you'll get demoted. Put you in a box somewhere. But Garoth, does he do that? No. So as much as he's a very intelligent and less of a mustache-twirling villain, which was refreshing for the series, he's still an evil twat, okay? But he's not as evil as the traitors, because he's not a traitor. So he's above them on the list, he's number 16. Largely from the same book at number 15 is Idris 562. Otherwise known as Visser I, otherwise known as Eva. She was in charge of the invasion of Earth, and she started the Sharing, which is this cult-like Jim Jones sort of cult where they bring people into the Sharing under false pretenses. Yeah, so... evil. Bad. Naughty. On Santa's naughty list this year. Eva, Idris, Visser I, whatever the fuck you want to be called. Yeah, you're more intelligent, but you're actually still quite sadistic in some ways. Nowhere near as much as Visser III. You've got a bit more flexibility to your evil, but you're still an evil piece of shit. Not as powerful as Garoth. So you're not in complete control, and you are under threat from the Council of 13 and other Vissers around you, so you've got that little bit of pressure that makes you a little less... What's the word? I'm looking for a certain word there, but I think you know what I mean. She's not the one in charge, she's getting the orders. But she's still Visser freaking I. Okay? She could be a bit less evil. She goes around killing hosts all the time. You don't want that. That's bad. That's not an healthy environment. Nah, it's well toxic, mate. Nah. You're going at number 15 on this list. Silly woman. 14 is Visser IV. Who's Visser IV? Visser IV was from an excellent book called Megamorphs 3. That was the Visser who had found the Time Matrix thanks to his host being John Berryman, who had spotted this Time Matrix. And he goes through the past trying to adjust things so that the Yeerks win the war, and by doing so, he'll grant himself more power. So he had a lot of power. He had the Time Matrix. We don't see that much of him, but we know from that alone that he's willing to erase timelines, change timelines to gain power for both the Yeerks and himself, which makes him a pretty bad guy. I think we can all agree. Pretty sinister fucker. But we don't know too much else about him. We don't know what he was like as a leader for the rest of the Yeerks, so we can't really go too much on that. So I'm just going to put him on 14th on this list. Seems appropriate. 13, Queen Soko, the Nartek queen who lives under the sea. And whoever comes down, like sailors and whatever, she has them stuffed and put into museums like that. Yeah, not pleasant. A bit xenophobic, one might say. But the one thing that goes... Also, she wants to take over the world. Let's not forget that part as well. Oh, crap, Soko, what are we going to do tonight? Same thing we do every night, Nartek people. Try to take over the world. Was it... What did Pinky say? It wasn't cripes, was it? It was something else. But you get the reference. Fucking hell, I've ruined it now. I've exposed the underbelly of the joke for you to stab at. Yeah. That's not what you want to do. You want to keep the underbelly of the joke protected. You don't want it shown to everyone. I don't know what I'm on about now. But yeah, Queen Soko wants to take over the world. Stuffed anybody who visited, no matter who they are, what they do. Why is she not ranked lower on this list and hence more evil? It's because the Nartek society actually seemed functional and actually seemed to work well. So as much as she wasn't very good to other people, we can assume she was actually pretty good to her own people, which is somewhat of a redeeming feature. I mean, you can't forget the other stuff, but she's nicer to her own people, it seems, than the Vissers, for example, who just wantonly kill their own frickin' people here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, she ran a pretty functional society. The Nartek seemed to be doing pretty well down there. So much so that they were gearing up to take over the world. So they can't have been doing that badly. She obviously had some good domestic policies in place. So that's why she's 13th on the list. That's the reason. Number 12 could have gone on multiple places on this list. It's David. We all know David. The wily little scamp who tried to kill Tobias and betray the Animorphs. Why is he not with the Traitors? Because a lot of you say, well, you had the Traitors further down, you hate Traitors. Well, the thing is, David was never really with the Animorphs, was he? He was never really there with the Animorphs. They sort of brought him in, but immediately they were like, oh, fuck you, David. Especially Marco. Your mum's dead, ha. Help us fight these Yeerks over here. Yeah, so David was always he was sort of a loner. He had no ties to either group. He was a loose end of a character in some ways. So I don't rate him as a traitor. He's a kid who was messed up. He lost his parents, he lost everything, and he went loopy. I think that's what we can say. So some might say, why isn't he lower on this list? Loopy is different from evil. He's still an evil little shit. Remember how he killed Sadler? Thought he killed Tobias? He wasn't completely loopy that he didn't have any senses left. He was loopy enough to be like, well, fuck everything. Just fuck everything. Was he comparable to the Joker? Remember that film Joker? I saw it once. I'm not sure if it's a very good comparison, but that's what I'm sort of thinking. Just a complete... He just goes off the rails. Goes mental. He has no real power, though. He's just a bit murderous. But on some level... No, you can't... But the stuff that led up to him killing, you could sort of understand. But once he passed the killing boundary, then you thought, well, you've overdone it a bit there, mate. So he's number 12 on this list, but he could go wherever you think his mental state is, basically, is where it depends. Right, next. Next we move on to the yes men characters. What do I mean by that? Basically, characters who are in it for sort of their own self-preservation. They just do whatever is told of them. Oh, you're in charge of me and you want me to do that? Well, okay, I'm going to go do that. Sort of the Axe of the baddies, the Aximili of the baddies, because remember we talked about Axe being the yes man, but it was the yes man for the goodies. Now we're talking about the yes men for the baddies, okay? At number 11 is Taylor. Awful, awful character. And not in terms of evil, just in terms of actual character. Awful. Hated Taylor. But she's also a bit of a psychopath, and she's just one of Visser III's little play toys, basically. She's a sub-Visser, I forget which number, it's a low sub-Visser. And yeah, she just does Visser III's bidding in a very psychotic way. Yeah, I don't like her. And she's prone to torture as well. So that's why she's the lowest of this particular group, okay? So she's number 11. Number 10 is our good friend Innis 226. Innis 226, the Yerk with Chapman as the host. Very similar to Taylor in that she's basically just a Visser III yes man. Or he's just a Visser III yes man, does whatever Visser III says, but he never tortures anyone. He's just a thug, really. Walks around kicking people under Visser III's orders. Yeah, you want me to do that, Visser III? Oh, smack the old woman in the face. Oh, what you gonna do? I got the orders. Yeah, these are the people that the Nuremberg trials were all about. I was just following orders. Yeah, you fucking evil little shit. Go to prison. Go to prison in his 226. And your prison is number 10 on this list. Number 9 is Visser II. Why is a Visser down here? Because we hardly saw anything of Visser II. Visser II was only in book 46, and the only thing we knew about Visser II is that he was like Innis 226. He's just another fumbling, bumbling Visser III yes man. Except he was given an admiral? I think it might have been an admiral. Again, I've got to go over that again. Given the body of an admiral, Carrington, I believe his name was. And the only thing that rates him above the other characters is he clearly had some level of restraint. So when Axe kidnapped him and took him onto the plane and threatened to bomb the Yerk pool, he actually thought about it. He actually had his own thoughts and chose probably the more sensible option. That's the only thing that puts him lower than Taylor and Chapman or Innis 226 on the evil scale. Just the fact that he showed some level of restraint. That's it. Apart from that, we don't do much with Visser II. He's probably just... Because Visser I had just been promoted. He probably got his strongest loyal Yerk and said, right, you're Visser II now. Who gives a fuck about the real Visser II? He's demoted. You're Visser II now because you're loyal to me. Which in a way should make him lower, because then you'd assume that being such a loyalist to Visser I or Esplin... whatever. He's staying there. You're still in 9th, Visser II. Let's move on. In 8th place is Esplin 9466. Lesser. Joe Bob Fenestra, the guy in the mansion. I could have put him either up or down, a bit like David this one, because the guy's a cannibal, okay? So he lures other Yerks into his trap, and eats them to maintain Kandrona. So this is a bit of an odd one on the list because it's very much a self-preservation thing now. I think that's where we are now sort of on the list is those just doing what they can to carry on, do their job. And Esplin Lesser adds cannibalism to that. Okay? So, yeah. The only thing that makes him a little less evil is that he's not so much abandoned the Yeerks, he's just in hiding. And he's just sort of doing his own thing. And he's luring other Yeerks. We don't know what happens to the host, but there's a high suspicion that he kills the host too. So maybe he should be higher on the evil scale. / lower on this list. I've probably done it the wrong way around, but whatever. But yeah, he could go up and down this list depending on how you look at him. So let's move on to number 7. Yeah, now we're truly into the territory of characters who were just being part of the bad guy team, essentially. The boring ones. I'm sorry about that. So this one is 2 characters who essentially played exactly the same role. We don't know the Yeerk names, but their host names were William Roger Tennant and Jeremy Jason McCull at number 7. Yeerks who were just the bad guys of that particular book doing the Yeerk thing. There really isn't much else to glean from it. Yeah, they were following orders. Were they doing anything particularly sinister? Well, the Yeerks in general did something particularly sinister, but did they do anything exceptionally sinister? No, they were just being Yeerks. So that's, yeah, again, another... Yeah. I probably should have done this list the other way around, shouldn't I? But, hey-ho. At number 6, the Inspector. Again, just a character working for the Council of 13, coming down to inspect Esplin 9466 at work. He's also a cocky little sod, but does that make him evil? No, not really. He's just a guy, a Yeerk, doing his job. So that's number 6. Number 5, Tattoo and Grease. I like these characters. Do they exist? They don't even exist, really, from what we know. From what I think, sorry. Because I'm still convinced that Book 48 was all a dream, so Tattoo and Grease would have been part of Rachel's imagination. But they're just 2... spotty little teenagers. Oh, Christ's gonna give us some money for being mean to that girl. Okay, then. It's basically them. They're just too stupid. They got no brains, which is why they're less evil. Because I think in order to be evil, you need to have a certain level of intelligence. So, yeah, that's why they're ranked a bit lower. They're just goofy teenagers being little gits, essentially. Oh, who's calling me? Next up on the list is Temrash. I forget his number, but he was Tom's Yeerk and then became Jake's Yeerk. Again, could be higher on the evil scale, but he had some moments of intelligence. Again, he was just doing the Yeerk thing. I think probably I should move Temrash a bit higher up. Probably... swap Temrash and Tattoo and Grease, okay? So Tattoo and Grease go up to 4, Temrash goes down to 5, okay? I think Temrash is a bit more evil than 2 spotty teenagers. But yeah, Temrash just is a Yeerk and has a few words with Jake, succumbs to his death. Yeah, again, that's that. Okay, now we get to a part of the list which is a bit more interesting. So we've gone through the list of... the recent lot have just been... bad guys being bad guys. It's not that interesting. Okay, so top 3 is where we get a bit more interesting. A lot of people would say the one I've put in 3rd place isn't really evil, isn't a bad guy, but I believe he is. It's Gafinilan Estrith Valad, the Andalite we first meet in book 40. And by first meet, I mean there were 2 Andalites we met in that, and he was the first one we met. So the other one was Myrtil, who isn't on this list. The reason Gafinilan is on this list is because he's all about self-preservation. And he was going to give up the Animorphs. He was going to basically hand them over to the Yeerks. Why? Oh, because I want my friend back. And I just want to live out the rest of my life alone and do my own thing. Which is its own type of evil. Okay? I walk down the street, I find an old woman, Here, person who wants to beat me up over that. Oh no. Say that I have an ex-wife and she has a pet rabbit of mine. Hypothetical situation. And this ex-wife wants to kill person X over there. So I say, oh, person X, come over here. Swoop, in you go. I'll trade him for my pet rabbit back. Oh, there's my pet rabbit. I'm going to sit at home now and not report this to the police. Yeah, that's a bad guy. You don't want to be that person. On Santa's naughty list again. Gefinilan. Probably even worse than Tattoo and Grease, actually. Yeah. Tattoo and Grease. You go up to third, you're getting less evil as time goes by. Gefinilan. Get down there. Get below 10 rash. Into fifth. You cheeky sod. What I didn't like about book 40 is the Animorphs are just like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we like you because you're an Andalite. Yeah, cool, nice one. No, he's an evil little shit. He was about to sell you out. He was about to sell you down the fucking river. Why? Because he wants to live his own freaking life. Well, great. Why couldn't you join in the fight? Nah, I can't be fox, mate. Yeah, fucking... Right, not helping you then. Fuck off. Go do your own thing over there. We're not going to help you out. Oh, book 40, you're a waste of bloody space and all. Don't make me throw you on the floor. Christ. Yeah, Gefinilan, you're in fifth, mate. So we're going to push Temrash up to fourth and Tattoo and Grease up to third, okay? Right, last two. Number 2 on the least evil of the evil people list is Arbat Elevat Estoni, the Andalite who was sort of a traitor. Why is he not far down this list? So Arbat was one of the 4 Andalites that came down on a secret mission. Okay? And his whole idea was to create something akin to the quantum virus and unleash it upon the Yeerks on Earth, which would also kill the hosts. We don't know whether this secret mission was deliberate for him to backstab them, which is why it's a bit more murky. But his idea is basically do what Alaran did on the Hork-Bajir homeworld. His aim is to get rid of the Yeerks, which is a good thing. But he's doing it in a pretty deceptive, evil way, which is why he's technically a bad guy, hence why he's on this list. By the way, everyone on this list, in my opinion, is a bad guy. I'm not saying that any of these people are good guys. Okay? Arbat, even though his plan was to get rid of the Yeerks, he did it in a very Santa's naughty list kind of way. Okay? Shouldn't be doing that. Okay? Even if... Because the ends don't always justify the means. That's what he was doing. The ends justify the means in this situation. Fuck the rest of you humans and the 3 Andalites I'm with. I'm doing this for the good of everyone else. I'm going to kill you all. Okay? Not great. Not great. Very similar to the person I put at number 1. So the least evil person of the Animorphs series, in my opinion, is Alaran. Okay? Bit of a cocky, arrogant so-and-so in the Andalite Chronicles. Later gets taken by Esplin 9466 to become Visser III. Not that that's his fault, so he isn't Visser III, the Yeerk is. But Alaran still did something that Arbat tried to do. And that is genocide. Full stop. Again, it's an ends justifies the means sort of thing. It's not his fault that the plan essentially failed to some degree, and they still the Yeerks still proceeded with some Hork-Bajir hosts. But the idea was kill all the Hork-Bajir so the Yeerks can't have this host, so they can't spread their evil in a more effective way on other planets. So the thought behind that, the justification is of good intent, but the process by which you achieve that good intent is fundamentally evil. That is genocide. I don't know about you, but I don't like genocide. Genocide sucks. I'd give it a 2 out of 10, okay? Not good. And that's why Alaran is a bad guy. But he's not evil. He's a bad guy, but I wouldn't go so far as to say he's evil, which is why he's the least evil baddie on this list. Because the rest of them, you can justify them as being evil. Alaran is the one that you sort of say, he's a bad guy, but everything he does is with good intentions in mind. He's not deceptive, he's straightforward with his genocidal aspirations. He don't fucking lie about it, and he feels a lot of guilt after the fact. So a good way to tell if somebody is a bad guy or not is if they show remorse. If they say, yeah, what I did was shit. Okay? Alaran does that. He knows that, but by the end of the series, he's like, I'll forever be known as the butcherer of Hork-Bajir. So he knows that it's a bad thing that he did. Okay? So yeah, well done, Alaran. The least evil person. Round of applause, everyone, for Alaran. Scimitar Cuirass, yes. The rest of them, fuck off. In the bin with, especially you fucking Taylor. You fucking get in the biggest bin. And lock yourself in there forever. Anyway, that's been my list of most evil characters ranked by how good they are. Interesting concept. Give me your list. I'll let you have a limit of 5. So you tell me who the goodest bad guys are in a list below. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Ta-ra!